All right, we have week 7 against Clover Bells for the SPL. I am still sick, unfortunately, and I wasn't really feeling that great at all during the day we decided to record. So, again, doing the post commentary, but we do have a pretty threatening team that we will be encountering. So, let's break it down real quick. All right, for the roster of the Jubilife Piplups, we have Golden Go, Dondozo, Glamora, Tinglu, Galarian Zapdos, Screamtail, Shaman, Fletchender, and Tatsugiri. We have the matchups against the Oklahoma City Thunderbolt with the Blood Moon Ursaluna, Farigiraf, Murkrow, Hisuian Typhlosion, Rotomwash, Glastrier, Grey Tusk, Brute Bonnet, Frostlass, and Scraggy. Now, this matchup was definitely a bit of a strange one here, so I was trying to figure out what exactly want to go. And yes, if you do look at the current squad, it's a very similar idea to what I had against Necra in week 6, and I thought the concept could put in some work with a few different changes to adapt to the team. So the mods that I expected Clover to bring were always going to be Ursaluna, Blood Moon, always going to be brought. Murkrow, I think, was always going to be brought against my team, especially the Haze for the Dondozo. I also think it's probably going to be likely a Sunny Day team, so they could reduce the damage output of my water type moves from the Dondozo Tatsugiri combination. So I think Murkrow, Blood Moon, Ursaluna. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hisuian Typhlosion be brought, or maybe even benched, but I do think it's more likely to be brought just to help out against the Golden Go mode. Rotomwash is a Pokemon I'm expecting. Glastrier, not so much. I don't think it's really as great into my team in general. That's about how slow it is. The Great Tusk I'm expecting, and the Brute Bonnet I am expecting for sure. So Brute Bonnet, Great Tusk, Rotom Wash, Hisuian Typhlosion, Murkrow, and Blood Moon Ursaluna were basically what I expected to be brought here. Maybe I could see Hisuian Typhlosion be left out, but I just don't really see what Scraggy or Frostlass are really doing to my team. So yeah, those are the main mods I decided to prep for. And here I'm like, okay, I'm going to be trying out something different. Now, Encore Disable Screamtail has been the debut demon set of this draft league for what I brought it for the last 2 weeks, but I'm trying out a different set because this is a very offensive team from Clover. They have Sunny Day on their Murkrow, which gives Pro Synthesis boosters to like the Grey Tusk, the power up on the Eruption for the Sunny Day on the Typhlosion to power up its fire type moves. And then we also have the Brute Bonnet, which can run any booster energy boost. So there's a lot to take account for, especially with Terras and offensive items. There's a lot that could go wrong here based on damage output. And I'm like, okay, let's slow down the damage a bit. And I thought best way to do that, go with the Screamtail, because I'm like, I'm not really going to bring opposing Tailwind into this team because I think most of my mods are just going to be generally slower or not really appreciative of it anyway. So I'm going to be like, okay, going to go with a different route. If they want to get Tailwind up, I'm going to get Shuckle up because I'm not expecting Farigiraf as much. Maybe Farigiraf over Typhlosion could be a thing, but I am more expecting the Tailwind route to be brought. And I'm like, okay, I think Screeds is pretty good, especially this defensive Screamtail. I'm running a Bolt Screamtail that gets the defense booster in the sun, counteract the Grey Tusk and the Brute Bonnet. I also have both screens again with Light Clay to maximize the turns, Trick Room for speed control against the Tailwind Murkrow, and Dazzling Gleam's pretty good damage across the board. They have a lot of fairy weeks, and the EV spread is supposed to allow me to take a Choice Band, Terror Ground, Proto Attack, a Grey Tusk, Headlong Rush in the sun. And yeah, it pretty much lives any combination of attacks otherwise. It's able to live the Eruption or Shadow Ball from the Hisuian Typhlosion, especially with the Vessel of Ruin. That would be able to help out on that side. It's just like, it's a monster. It always takes the attacks, gets the screens up, and ideally still Trick Room if possible. And that would be a huge advantage to my team. So we're going screens and we're bulking it out this mode. We're going with the Assault Vest, Galarian Zapdos, which is pretty good against their team. They don't have the best ways of damaging the Zapdos, so I'm like, okay, get the Zapdos Galar out with the close combat, Brave Bird, U-turn knockoff. U-turn I was a bit hesitant because I already hit the Brute Bonnet for a lot of damage, but I thought U-turn pivoting against Rotom could actually be pretty important, so kept U-turn on. Knockoff is to get rid of any items, which is useful for scouting. Knockoff for the Violet on the Murkrow is actually pretty important because I don't have the best ways of damaging the Murkrow with my team, so I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I knock off his Hisui Typhlosion as well. And then Close Combat Brave Bird for those Paradox Pokemon, especially, and the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Next Pokemon we have is going to be the Tinglu. In this Tinglu, the idea of the Tinglu is to have help against the Hisui Typhlosion. And of course, it does help cover any of the, Terra Poisons, Terra Ghosts that might be to reduce the damage on the Galar Zapdos. The Tinglu will cover up, and we have Ruination to chip away at the opponent while we have Screens. So if they are not able to do much damage to me, I'm able to fire back some Ruination, shift their team for Galarian Zapdos. Seems pretty nice. And then Stomping Tantrum and Throat Chop to be able to hit the Pokemon on the opposing side, especially that Hisui Typhlosion. Throat Chop there for any Terra Ghosts, and to be able to hit Rotom Wash, which is very nice. And Throat Chop is also nice against Blood Moon Ursaluna because that could prevent it from going for Hyper Voice. Terra Ghost, I know I'm not immune to the Blood Moon Ursaluna thanks to Mind's Eye, but it's great against the Close Combat from the Great Tusk, neutral to Headlong Rush, pretty much neutral to most every move that I would expect other than Shadow Ball, and maybe a Dark type move from Brute Bonnet. But I am relying on Galarian Zapdos and the Worry Seed on Shaman to handle the Brute Bonnet. I'm not too concerned there. Speaking of Shaman, the Shaman is running the Worry Seed set with the Chillon Berry for the Blood Moon Ursaluna normal type attacks, specifically that Blood Moon. Natural Cure is a great ability because it covers like Wisp, Rotom Wash as well, and I'd be able to switch out. Terra Water is the defensive type because I wanted another answer to Hisui and Typhlosion just in case. I think it's great to have multiple answers or Terras in response to Hisui and Typhlosion, and I thought Terra Water was great even though it's weaker against Brute Bonnet. Like, again, I have the Galarian Zapdos out and I wouldn't be tearing against it otherwise. The moveset is Seed Flare, mainly to hit the Grass weakness is pretty hard. The Blood Moon Ursaluna, Rotom Wash, and Great Tusk, it's a pretty big deal. Also, if we could get that special defense drop, really nice for a Screen Tail for a follow-up hit, or Golden Go for a knockout, which is massive. Protect to keep itself around. Tailwind is a secondary mode because, like, if they expect me to go Trick Room and don't set their Tailwind, I could get my own Tailwind up by surprise and try to sweep them. So I like the idea of just having two different modes of speed control just in case. Last move, wasn't too sure. I was like, Dazzling Gleam could do work, Air Slash could get some chip damage, even Earth Power for any Terras, but I'm like, you know what, let's go Worry Seed because that just makes it so I don't have to worry about Spore from Bonnet as much as before because I could just Worry Seed, instant wake up, and then just get damage across the board. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it also even works on the Photosynthesis Scream Tail because, yeah, apparently I looked it up in according to Bulbapedia, yeah, I can Worry Seed through Photosynthesis even though it can get skill swaps. So I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty good because preventing this Pokemon from getting slept by the Bonnet is massive, and I don't have to run safety goggles. I had Terra Grass originally on the Galar Zapdos. Now I can go for Dragon in case of the Hisui Typhlosion resist. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was perfect. So that's the idea of this Shaman set. Golden Go, we're running the Terra Fairy set once again. Yeah, just running Substitute this time over Nasty Plot because there is probably Haze on the Murkrow being broad, and I feel like probably not needing to set up to get KOs anyway with a Life Orb. So going for Substitute in case they try to play around Trick Room turns or Tailwind turns, I thought like Substitute could actually be a good benchmark there just in case. Also, against Sucker Punch and Brute Bonnet, I could go for Substitute, and that could actually be a very big impactor. And then finally, this Glamora set as well. Gonna be that Terra Grass option because I thought about Stellar Terra for guaranteed knockouts into like special defensive Murkrow and Sludge Bomb for the Bonnet, but I'm like, that probably just, if I'm Stellar, that usually just screams Sash. And I felt like, you know, Grass still gets me the Pokemon I really want to get rid of, like Rotom Wash and the Great Tusk. So I'm like, okay, it might make them think that I'm not Focus Sash as much as like previously. It also allows me to get around Rage Powder. That is the case. And Terra Fairy on the Golden Go is mainly because I wanted a neutral Terra into like Eruption while still being able to be neutral against Headlong Rush while resisting dark coverage, which I thought like might be impactful. So I went with Fairy as it was just a good neutral Terra across the board. But the idea of the team is just bulk it out with the Screen Tail while getting some pretty good chip damage and finishing off KOs with the Golden Go and the Galarian Zapdos. And without further ado, let's get into the games. All right, we had the team of Murkrow, the Great Tusk, Rotom Wash, Glastrier, the Ursaluna Blood Moon, and Hisui Typhlosion. A lot of these picks is what I expected. I was not expecting Glastrier, and I'm really surprised that just both my opponents in the last 2 weeks have just refused to bring the Grass Dark type against me. But all right, so pretty much what I expected. Basically a Sun mode against my team, and my idea is like, okay, My original matchup plan was Screamtail plus Galarian Zapdos lead, generally for the combination of hitting Brute Bonnet, but also like was a good roundabout and a great Tusk. Even into Typhlosion I could pivot. So do I want to still go with the same game plan? And I'll try it out for the game one. I don't really see a problem with it too much, as I think the only thing that changes from my game plan is do I bring Shaman or not. There is Rotom Wash and 2 Pokemon, of course, that are also weak to the Seed Flare thanks to them having double ground, but I'm like, do I need Golden Go? Because I really need to respect the Glastrier, because the original game plan I had 3 Ice Weeks. So don't think it's exactly the ideal plan. I'm thinking like, okay, there are multiple different options. I'm gonna lock in Golden Go and try it out for game one. Limor is another option I could do. Shaman Tailwind mode is another option. But I want to see who they're bringing, because I don't know who they're leading with. I think it's going to be Murkrow plus a partner, but I'm not exactly too sure. I think that's just been a very common theme with, I'd assume, this team of leading Murkrow and just setting up like Sunny Day, going for Tailwind and just like trying to brute force. Like, I just got to figure out what the Murkrow move is if they do bring the Murkrow, which is pretty important, because I got to know if I'm switching in a dark type move or into like a Brave Bird specifically. But we're going to see an interesting lead of Rotom Wash plus Typhlosion. I'm like, okay, what lead is this? I'm kind of shocked by this. They do get to find out with Frisk my items though, which is a bit unfortunate. They do reveal I'm a Assault Vest, and I'm like, okay, so a bit unfortunate, but yep, I am playing down information. But I feel like the safest play for me is just to go for a Light Screen and switch to Tinglu. The Tinglu will reduce the special attack damage output of both of these Pokemon that they have here, and I'm like, if I can get in my Tinglu, the Typhlosion's not doing as much damage, the Rotom Wash is not doing as much damage. I feel pretty comfortable with this, because getting Light Screen up would be super ideal for me, because getting that Light Screen up will just allow Tinglu to basically take the attacks, and then I can threaten the Typhlosion hopefully in the next turn, as long as this is a Hydro Pump read here. But I feel like you probably will just go for a Electric type move, probably Thunderbolt into the Galarian Zapdos. Maybe you double up the Screamtail. I think that's fine for me, because with the Tinglu Vessel Ruin, I'll definitely be able to take it. And then with Screens, for sure. I did make sure I lived with the Shadow Ball with my Screamtail from the Typhlosion, even if it is max special attack modest, even without the Vessel Ruin. So I know I could definitely take both attacks if I just switch in my Tinglu, and I don't want to go for Terra just yet. You do bring out the Tinglu and have that Vessel of Ruin activate, as we're going to see the Electro Web come out from the Rotom Wash. I'm like, okay, I have a feeling that's probably Choice Scarf on the Rotom Wash, though. It's definitely not specs based on the damage. And we see the Eruption come out from the Typhlosion. And based on this damage, I can already tell, yeah, this is definitely Choice specs for sure, as I do get the Light Screen up with my Screamtail. And now I will be able to take the attacks much better. I should be able to live a Eruption plus even Hydro Pump double up, I think, with the Tinglu, thanks to that Light Screen. But the fact is, if they're Electro Web and I think they're Scarf, like, I just don't see it being a Hydro Pump set here. And even if it does, the Electro Web was just so pitiful damage where it's like, okay, I don't even know if Hydro Pump would KO with the Light Screen. So I'm going to go for Reflect here, and I'm just going to go for a Throat Chop into the Typhlosion. The Hisuian Typhlosion's Grass on this team. The Rotom Wash is Electric. And I'm like, okay, I have a feeling that this is probably Choice Scarf on the Rotom Wash. I'm going for Throat Chop. Get some damage. It kind of covers every switch too, more than Stomping Tantrum. First, I see the Rotom Wash switch out, which I'm not surprised by, because it's probably Scarf, and I'm expecting anything to come in really. But Murkrow reveals itself, and they just go for Eruption. I'm like, okay, this is pretty good for me, as I am able to get a Reflect with Screamtail. So both my screens are going to be up for 8 turns, and I highly doubt that they are bringing a move that actually deals with screens, because I've never brought screens before this round. As Typhlosion will go down to the Throat Chop, and I'm like, that's one great Pokemon gone for Golden Go, because Eruption was hard to switch into. Tinglu going to heal a bit more with the leftovers, and I'm like, all right, who is coming out here? Unfortunately, Screamtail took a lot of damage, which I am a little bit upset by, because Great Tusk has to come in. I'm like, Earthquake is not easy for me to handle here, so gotta take a risk. I'm thinking like Sunny Day Earthquake might come out here, so I am actually going to go for a Protect with Tinglu. I could also see them going for a Headlong Rush into Screamtail, maybe a Foul Play, because they might read that I'm Terra Ghost on the Tinglu and go for the Terra Ghost here. But I do want Leftovers Recovery, and I thought, as long as this isn't Brave Bird specifically into the Screamtail, I'll probably be fine. But if it is Brave Bird, at least the Galarian Zapdos does have the screen up, so shouldn't take too much crazy damage. But I am a little bit just hesitant on this as Zapdos does come in for the Scream Tail. Also having a sack for later on is pretty important. Like I could also get Trick 'em Up potentially later on in the match. As we see the Ice Spinner come out into the Tinglu, which wasn't going to KO the Tinglu, so I'm like, okay, they maybe read the Galarian Zapdos to come in for that slot. As we see Air Slash, I'm like, yeah, you could tell based on the damage, I'm very happy with that. With the Vessel of Ruin, with the Light Screen and the Assault Vest, it's just not doing any damage. And I'm like, okay, that's best case scenario. So it's Air Slash a lot weaker than Brave Bird, so I'm very happy about this. Here, I know that the Great Tusk is going to be the Terra Steel. I don't want to exactly fall for a attack from the Great Tusk, so I'm just going to go for a knockoff and a Murkrow, because if I get rid of an Violet on Murkrow, then Golden Go can always KO the Murkrow and make it rain. And I think that's pretty important because I would like that damage. And I go for the Ruination, the Great Tusk. I think you're going to focus down the Galarian Zapdos. If you go for close combat, it's a bit risky unless you're Focus Sash, because the Galarian Zapdos is threatening a lot of damage with Brave Bird or close combat, depending on my read here. So here I'm like, okay, guaranteed knockoff in the Murkrow is really solid. Just being able to get rid of the Violet for, again, the Golden Go setup. And then we'll figure out what we do against the Great Tusk later. We see Sunny Day come out. I'm like, okay, Photosynthesis is going to activate on the Great Tusk, going to be really reveal its attack increase, and Ice Spinner going to come out. And I'm like, I made sure this isn't doing that much. 168 to 88, so it only did 80 damage. I'm like, okay, unless they double up the next turn, there's no way they can pick up the knockout. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, Violet gets knocked off, and we do get a Ruination off into the Great Tusk, and that is half HP gone. And that's pretty important because that puts in range of any attack basically for my team. We should put in range of Brave Bird / close combat, even if it's Focus Sash. So I just wanted to make sure I got that damage across the board. And now I'm thinking, okay, Air Slash plus the Ice Spinner is probably coming out to Zapdos, because the Tinglu doesn't have a move that should be able to one-shot the Great Tusk, because I don't have like a Terra Blast that affects here that's super effective. Like I still can't touch the Murkrow or the Great Tusk in general, even with like most of the moves on Tinglu. Like unless I had Stone Edge for the Murkrow, I shouldn't be able to get a KO here. So I'm thinking they have to respect the Zapdos, and I'm thinking it's Ice Spinner plus Air Slash. So I'm like, why don't I just go Golden Go? I'll take the damage just fine. Maybe go get a Stomping Tantrum off into the Great Tusk, and I'll probably be in a great spot. So you know what? That's exactly what I do. Because I think if they had Earthquake, they would have revealed Earthquake by now. I think they would have went for it when I had the Scream Tail in. And I just don't think you're clicking Earthquake ever in this spot. So I am going to go in a Golden Go. We're going to see Tailwind come out from the Murkrow. And we are going to see a close combat come out into the Tinglu. So good play on their part. They do get my Tinglu. I'm like, okay, a bit awkward, but they did take the defense drops. And Golden Go actually didn't take any damage, which is pretty nice. I'm going to calc the Headlong Rush because I still have Terra Fairy. They do have attack booster, but I do have Life Orb on the Golden Go with screens, so I should be able to tank any attack as long as this isn't Terra Steel, Iron Head. If Great Tusk gets Iron Head, I'm like, yeah, like as long as that doesn't happen specifically in the Golden Go, which I think I would probably still live regardless because it isn't Life Orb on the Great Tusk. And like I checked this damage on Headlong Rush, I'm like, it only does half to Terra Fairy Golden Go. So I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good in this scenario as long as I don't get Air Slash Flinch or something. I bring in the Galarian Zapdos because I'm like, okay, if you want to target down this slot too, I can bait the attack and go out into Scream Tail. And that was my idea here because you kind of still have to respect the Galarian Zapdos as well. So I am going to go for the Make It Rain with the Terra Fairy and just switch out into Scream Tail because I think having the Galarian Zapdos is still nice for dealing with the Rotom Wash in the back. So we'll be switching out my Galarian Zapdos, go out into the Scream Tail, which has a defense booster from the sun. So I'm like, maybe I'll live an Ice Spinner plus Air Slash combination as the defense boost is increased, as we are going to see the Terra on their side. I'm like, okay, who's Terra? And Terra Water in the Murkrow? And it's like, oh, Terra Steel on the Great Tusk. And I'm like, are you a Assault Vest? Because I just don't think you're already -1 special defense, and I feel like -2 definitely goes down here. Unless you're going for, like, again, a steel type move in the Golden Go, which I'm like, are you actually going to go for the steel move in the Golden Go? But we'll find out as I do go for the Terra Fairy here with the Golden Go, because as I said before, I calced the Headlong Rush. And even if they have a steel move, it shouldn't knock out Golden Go based on the Headlong Rush calc. So I'm like, yeah, I just don't think so. Headlong Rush going to come out into Golden Go. That's a little bit over half. It was the high roll. As we do see the Murkrow go for the air slash and the Screamtail. Screamtail survives, and I am able to go for and make it rain. And even if that Great Tusk was the blood or Terra Steel to resist it, it is -2 special defense because for close combat Tinglu plus the headlong rush just now, I get a double knock on the board, which is what I was aiming for with the Golden Go in this position. I'm like, Rotom Wash could still be scary, but I felt like it was actually going to be decently scary if they still had Terra Electric on board. They used their Terra on the Great Tusk, so at this point, I don't even think Thunderbolt will knock out my team. But they will go out in a Rotom. I'm pretty confident that this is Scarf, and I'm like, okay. This might come down to read, but at this point, I think my best play is either Protect Trick Room or go for Shadow Ball Trick Room. I know it's one of the two. I'm thinking that Protect might be a bit obvious on Golden Go, and I was calcing the Thunderbolt, and I'm like, I don't even think this KOs my Golden Go, and I calced with Light Screen. I'm like, yeah, I don't think this even KOs Golden Go, so I'm just gonna go for Shadow Ball and Trick Room. If I do get the attacks off, like I pretty much set, because Galar Zapdos, I was calcing with the Light Screen up plus the Assault Vest, and I'm like, this Rotom doesn't do near enough damage to KO my Galarian Zapdos at half with the Thunderbolt. Even I think with Terra Electric, like maybe they can knock out the Golden Go, and that's what changes it. I'm pretty sure the Rotom's just going down to close combat into Dazzling or 2 Dazzling Gleams at that point. So unless they have Discharge here, I should be good. And if they had Discharge, just don't pair me. I don't know why they went for Hydro Pump and a Screamtail, and I'm like, do you really not want to give up information, or do you just not have Thunderbolt? In my opinion, I'm like, okay, we saw Electroweb. I'm like pretty sure you're Scarf, especially seeing this -1 Shadow Ball do that much damage. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty confident that your moveset, you just revealed Hydro Pump. We saw Electroweb. I'm thinking it's going to be Trick and Volt Switch at this point. So I'm like, okay, I guess he just didn't want to reveal you had Volt Switch. But I feel like Volt Switch could have maybe made an impact potentially if I threw, especially if I protected Golden Go on the one turn, and you go for the Volt Switch and the Screamtail knock it out and have this situation, and maybe like Volt Switch crits my Galarian Zapdos, you could have won. But yeah, they just went for Hydro Pump. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a way to not reveal information, as Hydro Pump is going to come out. It doesn't even KO Golden Go thanks to the Sun. I'm like, okay, I gotta close combat into the Rotom Watch, pick up the knockout. So strange end game to me, but able to pick up a nice 2-0, which does matter for differential, which is very nice, as we do steal the game 1. Or did I say seal or steal? I mean, I sealed a game 1. I didn't steal it technically. There was no robbery in that set, but very nice being up a game. And now I'm like, okay, what am I doing for game 2? Because I'm not really sure what I'm expecting. Like the Rotom Wash being Scarf. I mean, the Great Tusk and the Murkrow were pretty much what I expected. The Ice Spinner was doing less damage than I thought. I was really thinking that there would have been a Life Orb Great Tusk, but there is no Life Orb Great Tusk. So I'm like, are you Focus Sash? Because I don't think you're Assault Vest. Maybe they went for the Terra Steel thinking they could live and make it rain if I was the non-Life Orb Golden Go, because maybe they thought I was going to be a defensive Golden Go at that point and think, oh, maybe I'll live make it rain at -2 special defense. But no, with the Life Orb, it definitely wasn't going to survive there. And even if I was bulky Golden Go, I feel like make it rain might have still KO'd regardless. So not exactly too sure on that one. But here I'm thinking, like, do I want to switch on my game plan? And I'm like, there might be some instances. I really did think about leading Tinglu potentially in the first time because I was scared of Typhlosion. I'm like, I could definitely think I could afford to lead Tinglu this time around. I think Tinglu would be a great lead here with the Screamtail because they don't exactly have the best offensive pressure. And if they just go out into, like, let's say they bring out the Murkrow plus Great Tusk lead against my Tinglu, I'm like, Screamtail does pretty well against that, so I think I'm okay regardless. Again, we have defense booster on the Screamtail plus the Reflect, the Light Screen. We didn't even reveal Trick Room on the Screamtail, which is actually very nice information here. So I think that's like a very big positive because I can go for a Trick Room route this time around if they want to go the same thing. And I'm like, okay, I probably still leave Shaman behind. I'll bring in a game 3 if they don't bring the Glastrier in game 2, I think. And then Glimmora is like, okay, I could go Glimmora technically. I'm a little bit scared of like Electroweb Shadow Ball with Choice Specs KOing Glimmora, but I don't know who to really drop it for because the Zapdos is important as well as the Screamtail. Like Scream Tail for screens is really important for me able to take the attacks. The Galarian Zapdos is just really nice for the Great Tusk in general, and really my best damage output, I think, across the board into like Rotom. Knockoff is great into his Seeming Typhlosion. Tinglu, I think I could technically drop Tinglu, but it's nice for Ruination Chip, as well as like reducing damage from Blood Moon if they want to lead like Blood Moon immediately, which I'd be kind of shocked if they did, but that's definitely a route they could go for. And then I just think that I have pretty good tools across the board with what I have. So I love Golden Go for the ability just to punish Glastrier in case. And they actually lead Glastrier Rotom Wash, and this is a crazy to lead to me. So I'm like, okay, was not expecting this one. Definitely a cool mix up here. I'm like, okay, what's Rotom gonna do? Is it gonna trick? Like, my idea is probably goes for Volt Switch, and then Glastrier gets an attack off. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get Reflect up, and I kind of just want Ruination damage. Tinglu shouldn't be too important because I think they probably still have Murkrow in the back. The only problem is it going to be the Typhlosion, but I don't want him to read a double protect from Tinglu so I can get a screen up. I just want to get a Ruination off. So I'm just going to go for a Ruination into the Glastrier because it helps against any set. We do see a trick from the Rotom Wash. So we will get the Choice Scarf here on our Scream Tail, which is a bit unfortunate, of course. That means we're going to have less turns of screens. Plus, I'm locked in the Reflect, so I will probably have to switch out the next turn. So I am going to go for that Reflect and get that Ruination off into the Glastrier, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good damage across the board, as Icicle Crash does come out into the Tinglu, and with that Reflect doesn't really do too much damage. So get the Leftovers heal on the Tinglu. I'm like, okay, not a bad start. I'm trying to figure out next because they might pin my Screen Tail slot, but I still will always try to get in Golden Go because I don't think they can still knock out the Golden Go even if they read it with high horsepower plus the attack from Rotom Wash. Unless for some reason this is Expert Belt Glastrier, but even then I just don't think they can with the Vessel Ruin and the Reflect up. So I'm gonna get some guaranteed damage into the Rotom Wash, which that was basically my plan because I do need to put Rotom Wash into range of potential Shadow Ball for my Golden Go, which I felt like is a pretty decent option here. So, and it also covers, like, again, if they decide, hey, I'm gonna Volt Switch out into the Screen Tail slot and bring in a partner, I still get chip damage regardless on whatever comes in. And more importantly, safe chip damage because I kind of need to build up for this slot. We're gonna get the Golden Go in as Hydro Pump comes out, misses the Tinglu. Tinglu would have survived. Throat Chop goes out in a Rotom. I'm like, okay, good damage, good damage. As Icicle Crash comes out in a Tinglu. They did miss the knock on a Tinglu. I would have been fine getting that free switch, I think, especially because I could have brought in either the Screen Tail again to click Dazzling Gleam, or I could have even went out into my Galarian Zapdos and threatened some really heavy damage that way with Shadow Ball plus like maybe a U-turn, or maybe I just go for a close combat. There are a lot of different avenues I could take, but here I'm like, okay, if I have the board state here, I'm just going to switch out into my Scream Tail here because might as well save Tinglu just in case maybe the Typhlosion's in the back. So I get to preserve a resource here because I am able to take it 80% of the time with the accuracy of Hydro Pump. So won't let this go to waste. Might as well get Scream Tail in because I want to be able to threaten some heavy damage. And I Shadow Ball the Rotom Wash here because the Glastrier is going to be Terra Water on this team. I'm like, Terra Water seems pretty safe. This could be protect from the Glastrier. And here I'm like, okay, I don't know what the item on Glastrier is. If it's, we haven't seen if it was like a Soul Vest or anything. If it was a Soul Vest, like it could probably live a Shadow Ball at this range. So there's like no point of me going for a Shadow Ball if I don't have that confirmation. I'm just going to switch out, go into my Scream Tail, as I can still threaten quite a bit, or maybe even get a Light Screen or Trick Room up against a Murkrow coming in probably after. As Hydro Pump fires off in a Golden Go, smart Hydro Pump, it does a lot of damage to my Golden Go as Shadow Ball comes out into the Rotom, and Rotom goes down. But a bit worried because I take the Life Orb damage. I'm like, I'm probably in high horsepower range now at this point. And yeah, they do reveal the high horsepower. Golden Go goes down and they get the Chilling Nay boost. I'm like, oh boy, that's not good for me. That's not good for me, as I'm pretty sure I have to go Galarian Zapdos at this point because Tinglu can't do anything to Glastrier and Murkrow comes in. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be very awkward. On the bright side, we revealed that my Tinglu went before the Glastrier. My Tinglu has like no speed at all. And I'm like, okay, even if they get Tailwind up, I don't know if they even outspeed my Zapdos. Because my Zapdos has a bit of speed, not much, but like it should be faster than the Glastrier if they have no speed investment. So my hope here is Dazzling Gleam plus Close Combat into the Glastrier. I'm not going to Terra because I have Terra Dragon, doesn't change any numbers. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a Terra Water here from the Glastrier. I'm like, does Dazzling Gleam with Close Combat pick up the knockout into the Glastrier? And if the Glastrier is faster, I need to either dodge the Icicle Crash or maybe at least dodge the Flinch, depending on who's in the back. But because it really just depends on if it's Hisuian Typhlosion or Great Tusk at this point. Because if it's Great Tusk, I feel pretty okay with my position, as they would still probably have to Terra Water the Glastrier to make this a safer play. And if it's Blood Moon's a bit concerning, but might be possible. We are going to see the Glastrier does go for the Terra Water though. I'm like, okay. So it's just going to come down to Crash and Close Combat as Ellen comes out from the Murkrow, and I'm like, okay. Let's see here. Dazzling Gleam, moment of truth. We get some good chip damage into the Glastrier and the Murkrow. Then my Zapdos does reveal to be faster. I'm like, please KO. And it does KO the Glastrier. It would have been bad because my Galarian Zapdos was faster than the Glastrier. So I took the defense drop, which means I'm definitely not living an Icicle Crash because I lost my defense drop. I did have Reflect, so I think I could have lived a +1 Crash. But I was definitely not living it if I didn't KO the Glastrier there. And luckily, we do pick up that knockout. Maybe I should have went for the Brave Bird, but in case they decide not to Terra for some reason and they were faster, I just made that play anyway. I'm not sure what is technically correct, but here, Great Tusk reveals its last one. I'm like, I think this is a good spot because they use their Terra. They can't Terra the Great Tusk anymore, so I can actually just fire off Dazzling Gleam damage. And now I'm debating of do I switch out into Tinglu or do I just attack? And I'm like thinking about this. I'm like, okay, I am -1 defense, but I still have Reflect up. So I should be able to live an Ice Spinner even if they Sunny Day or even Air Slash plus the Ice Spinner. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to double the Murkrow because there's a chance that they go for a Sunny Day and a Protect with Great Tusk, and I don't want to attack into Protect. And if I give it a Murkrow because it probably doesn't have Protect, I should still seal the game regardless. Ice Spinner does come out alongside an Air Slash, and as I said before, even though we have the defense drops, I'm able to clutch up with the Zapdos. Dazzling Gleam does a lot of damage to that Great Tusk as well as the Murkrow. A Close Combat, more importantly, able to knock out the Murkrow there and pick up the knockout, which is absolutely huge as Murkrow goes down. And I'm like, yeah, this is probably a guaranteed win at this point. The Reflector is off, but like there's no way to KO Screamtail. A crit won't knock out Screamtail at this point, so all I have to do is attack. Maybe what I could have done is switch out the Galarian Zapdos, go out into Tinglu for differential, because maybe Tinglu loses the Ice Spinner. At this point, like, I'd rather just go for the attack at this point, as Zapdos just goes down to the Ice Spinner. However, the Screamtail will be able to get a Dazzling Gleam off and finish off the Great Tusk, and that will secure a win for the Jubilife Piplups once again, and that moves us on to 6-1 in the league of week 7 of the SPL. And yeah, only one more week of the regular season, so good games to Clover, who had a phenomenal last week game. And yes, it was definitely a bit of a scary matchup, definitely scary with the Glastrier. That could have definitely put in the work. The Rotom Wash was a bit more annoying than anticipated, but able to still squeak out the win with a 2-0, which is also another differential thing, but it helps out immensely because we're fighting for week 8 because we can get a bye into playoffs, so that's what we're going for. So next week we will be playing Shuckle King, and yeah, that will conclude the SPL normal season. So make sure again to go check out Clover down below in the description, a VGC YouTuber, and all the other coaches in the SPL down below in the description, and of course subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.